Hi, my name is Martin Podhorsky, and today I decided to start documenting my life. Why? Well, mainly because I want to be able to look back at this when I'm like 40 or so and be like, also because it can be fun, and in an AI dominated world, I think authenticity is going to be highly valued. Now, a little bit about me. I'm from Slovakia. I was born on the 2nd of December 2006 in a small town called Piešťany, which is located about 100 kilometers northeast from the capital of Bratislava. I was always a quick learner, which I'm very grateful for. I used to play floorball, which is something like hockey, but you play it on the ground and with a plastic ball. I used to play that for 2 years. Then I also attended musical school. I played on the flute, the wooden one, for about 4 years, and then I switched to playing drums for 2 years. And I also used to ride a freestyle scooter, and I used to do that for 3.5 years. Now, being a fast learner had a one huge downside, which was that I was extremely fucking lazy. I would never do more than what was absolutely necessary, and when things got hard or stopped being fun, I would just quit. In primary school, I was the guy who was made fun of, which I realized was actually my own fault when looking back in retrospect, and thanks to that, I was completely unusable when it came to socializing and speaking to people. It was so bad that I was literally unable to look my parents into their eyes when speaking to them. Finishing primary school in 2022 meant I was finally freed from that group of people. And there I was. No friends, no confidence, and nothing to do. Because in the meantime, I also quit doing all of those free things that I mentioned at the beginning. Entire days were spent playing video games, scrolling on TikTok, or binge watching brain dead YouTube videos. One day, as I was scrolling my life away on TikTok, a video popped up that has, without exaggeration, changed my life. It was a video from a guy named Hamza. That video made me realize that I'm severely addicted to porn and that I must do something about it. It took me over a year, but I did manage to beat the addiction. What helped me the most was realizing what was the actual trigger, the thing that sparked the urge, and making sure it does not occur again. In my case, it was almost always some kind of a post or a video that would pop up on my For You feed, either on TikTok or Instagram. And so, I deleted both apps. Meanwhile, I also started exercising, improving my diet, reading books, and working on my social skills by forcing myself to talk to random people on the train when traveling to school. I also discovered the world of online business thanks to creators such as Alex Hormozy and Iman Gadzhi, who actually inspired this whole idea. In early to mid 2023, despite me going to the gym regularly, tracking calories, and reading books, I was still mostly just watching YouTube videos and not really doing anything with the knowledge that I gained when it comes to the money making side. One day I finally got tired of it and decided to do something. At first, it was affiliate marketing, and I stopped doing that after a week. Yeah. Then I decided I will do book summaries, and I quit doing that after 3 months. But not the progress, not the progress. Now, since I gained some decent video editing skills, I decided that I will reach out to small creators, offering myself as a video editor. While doing that, I stumbled across a guy named Christian Placentia. I apologize if I spelled that wrong. And this guy was just starting out on YouTube, and he was making videos about building his B2B cold email agency. And that sparked my interest. Since I came across and heavily consumed the content of Iman Gaji, I had a strong inclination towards starting a business. And so, once again, I decided to switch. But this time, I made myself promise that I won't quit until I'm 18. This was in mid-December 2023. Now, I went on to watch some more videos to actually learn about how the cold email stuff works. Then I got a part-time job at a local pizza restaurant to be able to afford the software and tools. And lastly, I reached out to about 100 different agency owners whom I could find on Twitter. From this, I managed to land 2 clients for whom I worked on a commission slash paper meeting basis for maybe a month, more maybe, probably more. But it was like there was no contract, there was no communication, there was no like synchronous. It was just like me trying to figure stuff out, you know. Of course, I didn't get them almost any results, but it was a valuable experience. I mean, one of the guys actually gave me some money just for my efforts. His name was Robin, and I'm truly grateful to him for that because it provided a great motivation to keep on going. Shortly after I stopped working with these guys, I ran into Michal. Michal used to sell bowls made out of a coconut shell via Amazon. This was a product that was in really high demand during a short period of time, and then it went completely bust. And so Michal was left with a full shipping container of coconut bowls. Now, he told me that if I helped him sell it, he would give me a decent commission. My reaction was like, man, I don't think this is going to work, but I guess I have nothing to lose. And the funny thing is that it actually ended up working pretty well. Over the next few months, I managed to sell like 3,700 bowls or something like that, which was pretty solid. I even got one lady asking for like, how much was it? Like 7,000 or 8,000 bowls, which when I saw, I was like, but unfortunately, she didn't end up closing. But as I said, it was pretty solid. At about the same time, I also quit my part-time job at the pizza restaurant because I really couldn't do it anymore, and I managed to land another part-time job working as a sales rep for one Slovak IT company. After the first few weeks, I got fired. Deservedly so. In the meantime, however, I got noticed by a guy who was also into cold email, just like me, and he gave me an opportunity to join the sales team at a startup that he was working for. I, of course, accepted. This was right about at the start of summer break of 2024, so I had literally all the time in the world. And during the following 2 months, I learned by far the most that I ever have. Now, as the summer break came to a close, the startup was under a lot of pressure from investors because the sales targets weren't being hit, which I may have been slightly responsible for since we were only 2 guys on the sales team, the guy who brought me in and me. And so after a strong confrontation with my manager, who was the guy who brought me in, and the fact that my work hours were reduced significantly, I shut my pants and called it quits. I soon realized that it was a mistake, and so I started looking for work again. This time, instead of looking for job offerings, I decided to create a job offering myself. And so I reached out to about 30 founders of Slovak companies where I thought I could bring some results. This was the email that I This was what I wrote to them. To my surprise, 6 of them actually responded positively. Now, I accepted the first offer without taking any more calls because the founder's philosophy really resonated with me, and I also didn't want to be the guy who sets up meetings with all 6 people and then chooses the one that suits him the best. It didn't seem right because I was the one who expressed interest in working for them and not the other way around. Now, after the meeting, I received one extra response, so it was 7 in total. And this guy was the owner of a content marketing agency. He didn't want me as a temporary worker, but he did like my initiative and he offered me an opportunity to try and sell free portals slash websites that the company had built for clients who ultimately didn't want them. These portals had decent traffic and pretty good SERP ranking. I accepted the offer because it suited me perfectly. I didn't get to do cold email at the job that I landed, but I did get paid, and so I could use that money to deliver results for this content marketing agency. Now, what seemed like a good idea wasn't that good of an idea after all. I ended up canceling the engagement with the content marketing agency in the middle of a campaign because I just couldn't stand their constant intervention. And because I neglected the part-time job, which was actually an amazing company with amazing people and a bright future ahead, I was let go during April 2025. I didn't think much of it at first, actually. My thoughts were like, great, this at least gives me space to finally start my own lead generation agency. And so I got to work. I wrote down the entire customer journey from the initial outreach all the way to service delivery, reporting, and communication, and then started working on all the things that needed to get done. I was almost finished, making last adjustments to the contract. And that is when I discovered, shit, if I understand this paragraph correctly, then this thing is actually not really legal in my fucking country. Yeah. For quite some time already, I could sense that my mental health was rapidly declining. I was starting to acquire bad habits. I was starting to become skeptical, undisciplined, negative, ignorant, egotistical, non-present, lacking empathy. For almost 2 years, I was grinding, pushing, working all day long, without rest, suppressing all weak thoughts. And this was the point where it all fell apart. This was the point where I fell apart. Up until then, I had spent about 1.5 years studying and learning cold email, which helped me get an amazing job, but I was too blind to see how amazing it was and ultimately got fired. And out of all the money I made from that job, I was left with less than a quarter because I blew the significant majority of it on cold email tools. And then I came to realize that this thing was actually not even legal over here. After this minor personal incident, my life was nothing short of a roller coaster. I literally would change my mind every other day. I would switch from one thing to the other just to come back to that initial thing and go through the same cycle again. It felt like going up a hill in a car when there is 30 centimeters of snow and you don't have snow chains. It felt like onboarding a train just to arrive at the same station you onboarded at 1 hour later. As 2026 came around, it hit me again. Fuck, I have wasted literally an entire year. And the worst thing is that I feel like I'm behind of what I was actually during 2024. Now, luckily, I got myself back soon after and said, okay, this must stop now. And so I'm back, and this is my plan. Towards the end of 2024, the idea of attending an international college actually got planted into my mind. I didn't think or elaborate much on it at first, but as the above mentioned incident happened, it was actually the first thing that came to my mind. And so I started researching international colleges and stumbled across one that I really liked. The school is called Aalto University and it is located in Finland. You can look it up if you want. And this was actually the main issue. I couldn't decide between whether I should keep going the online business route or whether I should pivot towards the international school routes. And I was jumping back and forth from one to the other, and yeah. But finally, I decided to do the following. Step one was to reach out to relevant Aalto employees, asking them if I could shadow some students who are studying the design and media bachelors and the international business bachelors, and basically follow them along for a couple of days to see if it really is that amazing as my mind makes it out to be. Step 2. If it turns out to really be that amazing, I'll first get a C1 English certificate and take the SAT. The English certificate is an entry requirement for the design program, and the SAT score is what they use to pick the students for the IB program. And if it turns out to not be amazing at all, then I'll just continue working on the cold email agency. Because when I was going back and forth, I once decided that I will make sure that I'm wrong before I quit. And so I paid 80 euros to a lawyer to tell me if it would be illegal for me to send cold emails within the US market only, like on behalf of the US customers and only to US people. And they told me it's fine, but I just must add some extra bureaucracy to comply. Now, the third step is probably going to be the most difficult, which is to create a 900 euro plus after tax, location independent, monthly income with a less than 20 hours per week time commitment. The money is what I need to cover the rent, food, transportation, and other expenses. And the 20 hours or the less than 20 hours per week requirement is so that I don't lose my mind and actually get the most out of my stay there. So, since I have literally almost everything prepared for the cold email agency, I'll try that, and if I can make it work, which means that I'm either not going to be profitable or it's going to take more than 20 hours per week, then I'm going to try something else. I have a year and a half to accomplish that since I missed this year's application window, so I think I'm good. And on the side, I'll also practice previous year's intake assignments for the design program, based on which they actually select the students. In 2025, they had 454 applicants and only 41 got accepted, so I better start practicing. Now, I already took the first step. I contacted 6 people that I was able to find through AI Arc, which is much better version of Apollo.io, and no responses so far. And so that would be about it for this first video. As for the future, I would like to be doing one upload a week, so one video every Sunday. And if you want to hold me accountable and make sure that I don't change my mind after the first 2 weeks, then leave a comment or hit the subscribe button. I'll be very grateful if you do so. Now, thank you for your time and attention. Wrapping up with a wise remark: give more than you take, and expect nothing in return.